I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good job, Nora. I heard you back there.
I was going to say, I love the little voice.
That was awesome. All right. Do we have any changes to the agenda? If not, we would look for a motion to approve tonight's agenda.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion by Robin and second by Becky to approve the agenda as written. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, please state aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed, state no. The agenda is approved. Guests and open forum. We have the Becker Lions, Emma Cook, and Bev Knutson here tonight. Come on up to the microphone.
Come on, I'm here for support.
All right.
You can do this.
Okay, I really don't need the mic. On behalf of the Becker Lions, Bev and I are here today to thank you for all that you've done in collaboration with us. We are so thankful to have teamed up with you on many projects, including AEDs at the local parks, improvements at the disc golf course, the splash pad, and mostly Snuffies. We appreciate the recognition we received at your meeting in early September. We were, however, not prepared to receive such an honor at that time, so we would like to humbly thank you for that, specifically Mayor Mark Kobinger. Snuffy's event was a huge success, and we literally could have not done it with all of you and all of your help. Phil Knudsen, Derek Rose, and Chad Clausen especially, so thank you guys for everything you've done for us, and we hope that we can continue to expand and be even better.
And partner with the city, we
Yes.
appreciate it all.
Yes.
Well, thank you.
All right. Thank you to the Lions. All right. Thank you. Thank you very much. Have a nice night. Is there anybody else here to address council tonight? All right, then we'll move on to committee reports, presentations, and awards. We're going to start with Planning Commission.
Planning Commission, we met Monday, September 29th. We didn't have any business that we had voted on, but we did get did have quite a bit of discussion on the Becker Housing Study, which I know EDA had discussed that as well. So we talked about the forthcoming RFP for that, and otherwise just some project updates on local projects in the area. So.
All right, any questions for Rick on planning? If not, we'll move on to personnel. Becky?
Personnel, we met back in September 19th. We first started the discussion with the new health insurance in Minnesota paid leave proposals. So you're going to see that on 7B tonight to just get the resolution on that for coverage options from Lori. Revisited the hiring procedure and just who's going to be a part of certain hiring processes for the future. And yeah, like I said, when we just talked about the new Minnesota paid leave that will be going into effect here. And that's it.
All right, any questions for Becky on personnel? If not, we'll move back to Rick for budget and finance.
Budget and Finance, we met September 25th. We had 3 items on our agenda that are on our agenda for tonight, which are the healthcare renewal, the conduit. We had a discussion on the conduit debt, as well as the past due invoices. So those 3 items we have agenda items for those tonight, so we won't steal the thunder from them. Otherwise, it was pretty routine. We had just update on the financials and everything looked in par. So.
Sounds good. Any questions for Rick on budget and finance? If not, we'll move on to Mike with Public Works.
Public Works, we briefly discussed weed ordinance. We've had some issues, people complaining, and there's not a whole lot that we can do, but going to work with Planning Commission and the Public Works to come up with something that'll work for us. We had a budget update for the Street and Parks Department. They've had some expenses that were not planned for, but they're still within budget. They were able to cover the expenses. We had a big truck repair that on the snowplow. So everything's cool there. LPI's requested an increase in their loading for the treatment plant. Phil and Chris are working with them on that. And XL has requested a trial run for leachate dumping also. And they're negotiating a contract for that for a 6-month trial. That's pretty much it.
All right, any questions for Mike on Public Works?
Yeah, what's the issue with the weed ordinance, or what's the question?
Well, do you get complaints from people with?
No, I don't let my grass grow that long, but.
No, complain to you. I don't know why they'll complain to me personally.
About it.
About an enforcement action, or, okay, so we wanna change the policy then from?
Well, yeah, cause there's things that we can't do, and so we're looking at a different approach is what we're looking at. But we gotta do it with planning commission also, so.
All right. Move on back to Becky for Golf Committee.
Golf Committee, we met on the 23rd of September. Kind of, did the routine thing of checking up numbers and everything. The great news is we're already outpacing the last year's numbers, which was a record year. So, and with how great the fall's been, I'm sure it's just gonna keep going up. We started also discussing, we have obviously some ponds out there that are losing massive amounts of water per season, that we need to start looking into lining those ponds, because the amount of stress that it's putting on the pumps is just, yeah, so we need to fix that. It's gonna be in discussion with Public Works too, when we have this whole new street on 23 there, to try to get some water to drain from Clitty into how it kind of already has been. So we're just in the discussions of that and just trying to see if we can get some of this done maybe this fall yet, before the spring, if it's allowed to. But yeah, everything's going good. They've done their aerating, they've done all that stuff, so golf course is looking good, guys.
All right, any questions for Becky on golf? All right, thank you, members. Move on to number 7, Board, Committee, and Consultant Reports. E-bike ordinance, Chief Lindblom.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. As you know, we've been working through the process of developing an e-bike ordinance that would allow the police department to administer administrative citations for some violations related to e-bike use. Up tonight is the ordinance that we've developed, 297 second series. And essentially, as we've discussed, the state statute does regulate a lot of the bicycle laws and regulations, so there are relatively few that would apply as a city ordinance. So we still have the ability to use state statute and enforce things like e-bikes in the middle of the roadway, or people with too many passengers, or exhibition style riding, things like that are all covered under state statute, which allows our department to enforce those violations. The ordinance specifically describes the electric assisted bicycle, which matches state statute, and then lists several riding rules that we've adopted for our ordinance, which includes that they have to slow at a sidewalk or driveway entrance, helmet requirement for under the age of 18, not operating on any of the turf or playground equipment and things like that. And then establishing a speed limit of 15 miles per hour when not riding in a bike lane or on the roadway. So the e-bikes can ride just like any other bike on the right-hand side of the road. In that case, the speed limit would not apply. Penalties for this would fall under our normal ordinance violation, which would be an administrative citation, and get paid out via the fee schedule that we've established for that. So that's getting worked on as well right now with Jacob, and some changes coming up with the ordinance and the fees. So looking tonight just for a motion and a second to adopt ordinance 297 second series, ordinance for the e-bikes. If anybody has any questions, we can discuss further. This has been obviously reviewed at police committee and our executive session as well.
Questions for the chief? I had just 2. Would this be something that we could get broken down in the future to see how many contact citations and things we're doing? Just,
Yeah.
It would be a separate category that we can
Yeah,
track.
I can create a separate category in our CAD system if they're out for an electrical assisted bike related call, and I can have our officers put it under that. That way it's a little easier to tally up and at the end of the year, instead of like a citizen contact or a ordinance violation as a generic. Yeah,
I think that'd be helpful.
sure.
And then, at our July roundtable, the school did express a willingness to allow us to do an education component. So is that something we can work on for the spring, maybe about March when the snow is melting?
Yep, I have that on my to-do list with the school, barring this, gets approved, that we would then move into some of that additional, education portion of it as well.
Cool, thank you.
Yes.
Any other questions for the chief?
He covered pretty much detail of the executive session.
Okay,
I got one other, maybe suggestion. So, to the mayor's point, when you put it in your, system, let's say you get a citizen contact, let's say somebody does a complaint, but you never found them. So instead of registering that maybe as a complaint, if there's a way you could also tag that as the e-bike, so that way when we're pulling stats together, it would fall into that.
If it falls under an e-bike complaint, it'll be categorized as an e-bike, whether or not we found them or not.
Or some way to, so you know that too, I guess.
Sure, that shouldn't be an issue.
great. All right, if there's no other questions, then we are looking for a motion and a second approving the adoption of ordinance number 297, second series, and ordinance amending chapter 8, traffic regulations in the city of Becker Code.
I'll make the motion. I'll second.
Oh,
I'll second.
Rick said he would second. We're giving that to Becky.
Oh my gosh, you guys.
Becky made the motion. We got a second by Rick. Is there any further discussion on that one? All right, all in favor, please state aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed, state no.
I've got a second chance for you then, because we're gonna need a motion and a second approving the ordinance 297 second series summary for publication purposes.
All right,
I'll make that a motion.
I'll second.
Good job, guys.
everybody got a piece of the action on the e-bikes.
I like it.
All right, we have a motion by Mike and a second by Robin to publish the ordinance. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, please state aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed, state no. That motion carries.
Thank you for your
Chief.
time and your help working through this.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, moving on to the 2026 health insurance contributions and coverage options. Ms. Franz with Resolution 2573.
All right, thank you, Mayor and Council. Just as some background, our Chapter 9 and Section 9.1 of our health, dental, life insurance personnel policy says that the amount to be contributed and the type of coverages need to be determined annually by the city council. So that's the purpose of this briefing tonight. We have presented and discussed the proposed health and dental plan changes with both the Personnel Committee and the Budget and Finance Committee. And at this time, we would like to brief the full council on our recommended coverages and costs for 2026 insurances. So I'm gonna defer to the memo and just cover a couple of highlights. At last year's health renewal, we received a quoted cap of 15% for the 2026 health renewal for coverage looking forward into 2026. Since that time, we have been reviewing pretty closely our claims data and our usage rates. And we looked at those ratios, and that led us to go out and seek a competitive quote for our 26 coverage, looking to maybe lower that cost profile that we were facing into. So we did that. We went out through our broker Gallagher and sought competitive medical coverage marketing. We did get a really broad range of responses from 6 different carriers, which indicates that we're something that they were looking to insure to participate in that quote. 2 of those 3 provided not only an offering for 26, but a rate cap for 27, which really we were looking for to lower our future risk as we're trying to not only take advantage of maybe some savings in 26, but give us a good base for what might happen in 2027 as well. So we did get two rate offers back that provided both improvement over the previous quote and a rate cap for 2027. So we sorted through both of those quotes in a lot of detail, and we are recommending as a staff that we accept the low bid, which was from Health Partners. That bid reflects a reduction of approximately 10.8% from the 2025 premium. So really recognizing that our ratios are very good. Our claims compared to our premiums are providing good data that the insurance companies want to participate with us. This is a direct to large employer non-pooled bid, and what that means is that we're not going to be in a pool with other people. We are going directly to Health Partners to be the provider. There's some risk obviously associated with stepping outside of the pool, but we really believe that having that second year rate cap minimizes that risk for the city. Health Partners open access network is pretty broad. We have been on that same network previously in 2024, and it is the same coverage that we had in 24. So we expect a pretty low level of disruption for our employees based on that. So what you see in your memo is the splits that we're proposing for those premiums for 2026. And I think it's a pretty rare opportunity to obtain that level of quality coverage at a reduced premium. We have not experienced that in the past, so we're sort of excited to be able to incorporate that in. And so that decrease in premium that we're proposing, we are allocating or recommending that we allocate it in proportion to the current employee-employer share. So that reduction in rates would be shared between the employer and the employee for those premiums. And then the quoted coverage for the other thing that was important to note is that two of the plans are not indexing, which means the deductible and the out-of-pocket maximum are not changing for two of the plans. The third plan, which is the buy down to the lowest level of deductible, is indexing because the IRS is requiring that it be indexed. But the other two plans are not, which is a further benefit really for choosing this provider. That hasn't happened for several years either, where we've been able to provide a plan that doesn't index up. So that is what we're recommending for health coverage. As we continue to look through the memo, the next section is really the HSA contributions, and that we have a pretty nice history of providing a HSA match for employees, providing funding into their HSA because we do offer only high deductible plans. And so we are recognizing that that's a valued benefit for our employees, and we are proposing adding $50 a year to the single HSA contributions and $100 a year to the single plus one in the family, bringing us up to $2,500 and $4,800 respectively for those two categories of health coverage. Other areas, just to touch on briefly, that are changing going forward, dependent care flex is increasing to $7,500. That's an IRS rule, and they did increase the maximum on that. That does not impact the employer, but it is a great benefit for our employees to be able to obtain that benefit at a higher level. We also received a new bid from our dental provider, which is also Health Partners. They have been a good provider, and we are recommending that we retain them as our provider. Their premium increase was quoted at 4.7% for next year, and that increase in premiums we are looking to split with employees as well. So a split of 20% employee and 80% employer would add $5 to the annual cost of an employee's single plan, and $10 to an employee plus one plan, and $15 annually to an employee's family plan for dental. And the rest of those increases would become the city, part of the city's share of that premium. One other thing to touch on, there's a few other notes in here for you to read and kind of absorb, but the other piece that we just really want to get in front of you is that we also sought a quote from our current life and long-term disability provider for the paid family medical leave. And they did provide a quote that is lower than the rate that the state has provided. And so our recommendation is to accept that quote it'll be at 0.78%. And we would split that with half the premium being paid by the employer and half by the employee. And that is within the parameters that is required by the state for the plan. Madison National Life is the overall insurance provider carrier for that. They provide already in other states that have paid family medical leave, so we feel confident that they can administer the plan effectively. And so we are in the process of submitting our formal application to them. And once we get that back, that contract would come forward to City Council for approval as with any other contract that we enter into. So just wanted you to have that information as well as you look forward to that plan rolling out in January of '26, that we are recommending going with a provider other than the state for that insurance coverage. Finally, we'll just talk about timing. We will need to communicate our plan selections back to Gallagher by October 8th. So we want to let them know so that they can get our open enrollment materials ready, and we can be ready for that. We have it scheduled for 11/3. So November 3rd, we'll be doing our open enrollment, and we'll have approximately 2 weeks to do that. And then we'll have a really good understanding of where all the costs are going to fall out, because we'll know exactly what everybody chose before we have to do our final levy package, truth and taxation. So with that, I'll answer any questions. Otherwise, I would be looking for a motion and a second for Resolution 2573, approving the health and dental contributions and coverage options.
All right, questions from council
I
for
have
Lori?
one.
Yes.
You made reference to some risk by not being part of the pool. What are the risks that you're referring to?
Well, in a pooled situation, what they do is they take everybody's results. And so for the next year then, if somebody used more than their share, that might get shared across more people. Someone used less than their share, that also might get pooled. So it's just like any other pooled risk. Sometimes pooling your risk, if you end up on the wrong side of that, is very beneficial. But in our case, what we've seen is we're on the positive side of it, and we're not getting the benefit. So it is an opportunity to lower your risk if you think you are going to have major medical claims. Of course, you never really know that, but
Right.
that's
You're just taking a chance that you don't get a major medical claim.
right. But we have a cap for the second year, so it really does.
And what was how much was the increase on the cap?
The second year cap is quoted at 15%. And that was what was quoted from both of the providers that we were considering, so really consistent
And we can move back to a pool in the future
at any time.
at any
Yep.
time. if we need.
We have to notify.
No, I'm aware of that.
Yep.
I was just curious as to what the risks were.
Yeah,
is all.
yeah, for sure, good question. Other questions for Lori? I just wanted to point out to staff, thank you you could have played it safe and just renewed, but you had a kind of a hunch that we could do better, so thank you for putting the time in, and not that it was a big risk, but it was a risk, and it certainly worked out for us, so thank you for being aggressive with that. Any other questions? If not, we would be looking for a motion and a second to adopt Resolution 2573, a resolution approving the health insurance and dental insurance contributions and coverage options.
I'll make a motion to approve resolution 2573, health and dental insurance.
A second.
Okay, we have a motion by Mike, second by Rick. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, please state aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed, state no. That motion's carried.
Thank you.
Thank you. Just want to point out, I'm glad too that we did not go with the state plan, because we know they're gonna max that out at 1.1, so we're saving about 0.32% just on that, so that's wonderful. Great job on that as well. All right, I think we're to administrator and staff reports. Number 8, letter A, Guardian Angels Conduit Debt Presentation and Call for Public Hearing. Mr. Ebensteiner.
Thank you, Mayor, Council. I'll just touch on a few key points, and then I'll turn it over to some representatives to discuss the project and the bond. So just as a reminder, as a local government, we are given the power by state statute to issue conduit debt. So that is, it's issued through our taxing authority, but is not a general obligation to the city. We do have one outstanding conduit debt issuance with Shepherd of Grace. We'd issued that back in the early 2000s. I think we'd refinanced it a bunch of years back. So that's outstanding. This project is a little unique. So this project is in Albertville, but it's very common. Albertville had issued debt in 2025, so it's considered bank qualified, so they get a better rate on their bond. So they have an interest in not issuing more debt. So organizations will look for other cities that have the authority. We haven't issued debt this year, so we are a good candidate to participate in that. So with that, bond counsel represent both Guardian Angels and the city just to look over everything. And then since we are acting as a conduit issuer, then we're required to have a public hearing. So we'll call for the public hearing now, for the public hearing in a few weeks. As Rick had mentioned, Budget and Finance had discussed at our August 21st meeting. Representative Aaron with Northland had presented just some of the key points and answered a few questions on the front end. So with that, I'll turn it over to them to summarize the project, and then I'll kind of recap and ask for the approval of the resolution.
Welcome, thanks for being here. Just want to let us know who you are and.
Yeah, good evening. I'm Nicole Novotny. I'm the Chief People Officer at Guardian Angels. I'm just going to give you a quick little synopsis of who we are, but thank you for having us tonight. We have been in business for 60 years, celebrating this year, so excited about that. We have a long-term care facility in Elk River and 3 assisted livings, one in Elk River, one in Otsego, and one in Albertville. We also have 6 apartment buildings, 3 in Elk River, 2 in Zimmerman, and we actually have a 20-unit building here, Woodbriar, here in Becker. And then we also partner with a home care agency. So with that, I will turn it over.
All right, thank you.
Good evening, I'm Steve Coons with EDI LLC. We're the developer and owner's rep for Guardian Angels for this project. So just a quick high-level overview. There's an existing building. It's 63 units of senior assisted living, memory care, and independent living. And that would be the 2-story building. That would be, I call it northwest side of that. And the project is to add a 4-story independent living senior building for ages 60 and over. The first level will have conditioned parking, and then in the center of that will be a town center area with a club room, community room, a health and wellness center that they'll sell memberships to the public. Seniors can come in and use. It's 86 units. There's 1 guest suite, 2 outdoor pickleball courts for the public use as well. So construction, we're hoping to start in November, about a 15-month construction period, opening in about March of 27. So. Any questions?
Questions from council? All right, thank you very much.
All right. I will just kind of tab through the did send. There are a couple other just schematics just of the project, just to give you a little bit of a feel of what it'll look like. Looks like a great facility. Yeah, with that, I can answer any questions about, issuing conduit debt or any other details. I believe the resolution mentions not to exceed 40 million. I know Northland, when Aaron had presented, it was right around that 35. I think the 40 was just a number, a not to exceed, as they're kind of wrapping up their final figures there.
Okay. All right. Anybody have any questions for Mark? Not hearing any. Would anybody care to make a motion to adopt Resolution 2574 to call for a public hearing to be held on Tuesday, November 4th, 2025 at approximately 5 p.m. to consider the housing program and the issuance of the bonds?
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion by Robin, second by Becky. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, please state aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed, state no. That motion carries.
Great, thank you.
Mark?
Thank you.
Thank you, have a great night. All right, I think Mark's up again for a call for a public hearing for the assessment of unpaid utility charges and weed grass removal charges.
All right, thank you, Mayor and Council. I'll make this short and sweet. Christine's currently working on the utility charges, so she's downloaded some reports and is getting that information together to put together the notices. There is a 60-day look back, so this grabs stuff like kind of back in July and before. So we'll true up here with assessments this fall, and then we do a shut-off process in the spring, late spring, early summer, to catch some of those rollover late charges as well. On the weed and grass side, we'll work through that as well. They just said they did one session of weed and grass ordinances this summer, right around that late May, early June. Currently on the list, I think there's around 18 properties. 15 of those are related to the townhome properties around the apartments, and those were just transitioned, so we'll get that paid. So 15 of those will be paid. One property is currently in tax forfeiture, so working on the county on how that works. They may just pay us for that portion. One was paid in full, and then I just have one remaining that I have a phone call out to. So there's a chance if they're all paid, I wouldn't even move forward at the public hearing with the weed and grass. You may just see moving forward with the utility charges at that time. So don't be surprised.
That'd be a first.
That'd be a first, yeah. That would be good. So I will. That'll be my goal. It's a good challenge, Rick. Otherwise, just looking for. I can answer any questions. Otherwise, a motion and a second to call for a public hearing to be held on Tuesday, October 21st at approximately 5 p.m.
All right, do you have any questions? Anybody like to make the motion to call for that public hearing on the 21st at 5 p.m. to consider the assessment of unpaid utility charges and unpaid weed grass removal charges?
I'll make that a motion.
A second.
We have a motion by Mike, second by Rick. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, please state aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed, state no. That motion is carried.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, next up, we're going to look at the professional services agreement with TKDA for engineering of the Highway 1025 intersection. Mr. LaRude.
Mayor Kobinger and City Council members, in 2022, Sherburne County completed a preliminary engineering study for the 1025 intersection with the intent of having a grade separated interchange ultimately at that intersection. Following that, the city or staff submitted a congressionally directed funding request to complete the engineering on that, as well as the environmental, and then final plans and specifications for what it ultimately might be built there. Basically taking the project and giving it to the DOT that would be ready to bid. We did receive approximately $3.5 million for that request, and then subsequently staff applied for a CET grant and was awarded $770,000 from the state of Minnesota to also assist with that. Once it was awarded, we reached out to county staff. Normally the county would handle a project like this, but they indicated they didn't have the staff or the time to do it. So it fell back to the city to do. We developed a request for a proposal. That went out earlier in 2025, and we received proposals back. We interviewed two firms, TKDA and SLR, or SFR.
SRF.
SRF, there we go, we'll get the acronyms together. And following that, there was a recommendation of the mayor, Phil, and myself that we approve hiring TKDA to lead us through this effort. So it's important to know that this effort does not include any construction. It is purely the planning and specification development for this part. Anything after that would have to find its own funding source, which we know is not on the DOT radar, which we also know is about a $50 million project. So there'll still be work to do after this gets done.
15 or 50?
5-0.
Yeah, that sounds.
And so right now, the state's going through what they call a pre-audit award. TKDA has had to submit a bunch of information from their proposal. We're very close to doing it, and they want to get going while the ground is, while they're able to get out and do some preliminary survey work. And so the approval of the contract, if the council does that, is conditioned on receiving the state permission. So I didn't want to have approval come tomorrow, and now we're 2 weeks out waiting for approval again. The state is fine with doing it that way. And so staff would recommend, and the resolution includes that contingency, so a motion to make a contingent doesn't need to be made. So staff would respectfully request that the council adopt resolution 2571 approving a professional services agreement with TKDA, and I will be happy to answer any questions.
Anybody have any questions?
The, if MnDOT doesn't do something with that, where would we get financing to do something like that?
There are state programs that corridors of commerce would be one where you could get, some funding. For the 4 and 169 intersection in Zimmerman, that, required a variety of different sources. You typically go get one and then you leverage it to try to obtain another. I think there's gonna be an opportunity here, both with the county working on 10 and 11 intersection at the same time, that there may be an opportunity here to partner those together and get them done at the same time.
Okay.
It's a federal highway, so potential for federal too.
Federal money, yep.
Any other questions?
They are gonna come up with a plan and a design, is that?
Correct. Yes, as part of this, that is exactly, the DOT has been involved very heavily up to this point. They will be as we go forward. They ultimately will select the design, but there will be a lot of input locally on what that looks like.
Preliminary designs that we had done earlier?
They will be reevaluated, and there may be additional ones as well. The other thing to note here too, given where the money that's available and the cost to do TKDA's work is a little under $3 million, there is money if right-of-way was to be acquired as well. So that is a possibility, and we left that open with the state when we prepared all the paperwork for this. So we will get through this part of the project, but at the tail end, there may be an opportunity to acquire the property needed for this as well.
Any other questions for Greg? All right, if not, we'd be looking for a motion to adopt resolution 2571, a resolution approving a professional services agreement with TKDA for engineering the Highway 1025 intersection.
I'll make that a motion.
A second.
We have a motion by Mike, a second by Rick. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, please state aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed, state no. That motion carries. Thank you. And next up is a resolution supporting state bonding requests to assist with water. Mr. LaRue again.
Mayor Kobinger, City Council members, the council is well aware that we have been engaged in a multi-year effort to locate suitable water. Thus far, anything we've found is not compatible with our current treatment methods, or it has some higher secondary contaminants, or is high in nitrates. All of those particular circumstances are gonna force the city to probably have to look at a water treatment facility, either for nitrates or iron and manganese removal, yet to be determined. And I think we'll be having something next month or soon, certainly coming to Public Works and the City Council, just as an update on that. But since we know we have to do this, we're in the process of submitting a bonding request. I will be honest, it is very unlikely that it will be funded. A lot of cities put in, and if they're gonna fund one, they're gonna fund a lot, but it doesn't hurt to ask, and it's not a huge lift to ask either. So one of the requirements that they have for our application is approval from the city council to actually submit the application, which the resolution would do. We are applying for two things. One, to do some pre-design work on a water treatment plant, or toward a water treatment plant, and the other would be to continue our search for water. And so the application is broad enough that it won't, we're not gonna pigeonhole the dollar amount into one or the other. They're just both activities under that umbrella. And so, with that, I guess I'll be happy to answer any questions, but if, it would be looking for a motion to adopt resolution 2572, supporting the application to the capital budget system.
Anybody have any questions? Not, somebody wanna offer that motion?
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
We have a motion by Robin, a second by Becky. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, please state aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed, state no. Motion carries. Thank you very much. We're on to the consent agenda. Mr. LaRude again.
Mayor Colbinger, City Council members, items for approval, adoption, or review on tonight's consent agenda include the revised hiring and termination report, payment of the bills, minutes from the September 16th, 2025 City Council meeting, minutes from the September 16th, 2025 executive session meeting, committee minutes from the Fire Board and Budget Finance Committee, review a letter from Sherburne County for our alcohol compliance checks, all of the licensed businesses passed, Pebble Creek asset disposal request, and partial pay request number 4 in the amount of $515,919.12 to OMG Midwest for the 2025 street improvement project. And I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Any questions on the consent agenda?
Just a comment on the alcohol compliance checks, thank you to the businesses for doing that. I know when you join council, this is probably one of the worst things you have to do is when a business fails, and we've had businesses that have even failed multiple times, they come in here and you can just see, it's the owners that are in here, but it's, it's probably somebody else that did it, and, just the look on their face, it's probably the worst part about being on council.
And having to issue a fine is.
And you have to, you have to do it, so it's, cause you have to follow the rules that you set, so, just, tip of the cap to all the businesses there that pass those.
Absolutely. All right, if there's nothing else, I'd entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Make a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
A second?
We have a motion by Mike. We have a second by Rick. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, please state aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed, state no. Consent agenda passes. We have a couple anniversaries. Part-time employees, Katie Fluke at golf, 7 years. Heather Treptow at the community center, 6 years. And Chris Klein Jr. at golf for 5 years. So congratulations to those employees. Anybody have any other business they want to bring up?
I'll make a motion to close. Or to adjourn?
To adjourn? Okay. We had a motion by Rick to adjourn. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Mike. All in favor, please state aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Meeting is adjourned at 5:43.